We're the Ghostbusters. Can I tell you something else?
What?
Buster makes me feel good. It makes me feel good.
Hey, yo!
Welcome back to another N-Cut movie review. Today we have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and we hope this review leaves you busting for more just like the movie did.
The plot of this film is your typical Ghostbusters plot. The Spengler family returns from the soft reboot of the 2021 Ghostbusters Afterlife. And in this film, it's sort of a soft reboot in a way of the Michelin Man Ghostbusters, where there's a giant entity that is essentially taking over the city. And the new Ghostbusting crew, the Spenglers, has to team up with the old Ghostbusting crew, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson from the originals in the 80s. And in this movie, they're fighting some ancient deity that can freeze the whole world. And they've got to pretty much essentially stop global warming from happening. Greta Thunberg's worst nightmare of this movie. She genuinely wakes up every day thinking that this is actually going to be the reality of the world.
How dare you!
The movie has enough nostalgia in this for the older fans of the franchise who grew up on Ghostbusters. It also has enough in it for the new Spengler family to sort of carve their own way and make their way as the new Ghostbusting crew and the new Ghostbusting team. And the Spengler family, you found watching it, had really good chemistry on the screen. I mean, you really believed that the family dynamic was real, where Paul Rudd is the stepfather who's coming in. Carrie Coon is the mother who's trying to just raise two kids in a crazy world, being a Ghostbuster. And Finn Wolfhard being the son who wants to take more responsibility for life and essentially become a man, and McKenna Grace being the daughter who's going through a teenage stage, a rebellious stage. And for me, Paul Rudd stood out in this film. His comedic timing was really good. He's pretty much made for these family-friendly movies where he can just be his sort of silly self and just have these innocent jokes, also sexual innuendo jokes, that when he says it, it just comes off really funny. I mean, we saw it in Ant-Man, we saw it in the Avengers films where he would come in for that comedic timing and relief. So these films are seriously like what Paul Rudd is made for, I think.
And the two, for me, the standout characters that kept me involved into this film with the comedic timing is Kumail Nanjiani and Bill Murray. Those two worked so well together throughout this film and actually kept it very entertaining. And it was sprinkled out. It wasn't overused, their comedy, and it was one-liners half the time, but that was the funny bit about this film. It's like a family-friendly movie. So just to start this off, I want to say that I went into this film thinking it was actually going to bomb because usually the sequels can never replace the originals in Hollywood. And they try to do that so often and it kind of just doesn't hit. But this movie was very, very enjoyable. It had its funny moments. It had the great cinema. It had notable transitions, which they're very small details in here, but they do count and it makes the film. Had pretty decent CGI, apart from the opening scene that looked like it was drawn on by a 4-year-old. Other than that, everything else looked quite good. The monsters looked impeccable, especially the one terrifying monster that was being held in the prison. And it reminded me a lot of The Cabin in the Woods that Chris Hemsworth plays in. If you've ever seen that, it's like a horror film. And it, not paying homage, but kind of stealing an idea. And it's definitely a popcorn film. If you want to watch this on a Sunday night or you're looking for something to watch and you've already watched the Afterlife one, you might as well finish this off and definitely go and see it. And just finish off that sequel that they're building up. And it definitely makes and paves, as Geordie said, their own way for this new Ghostbusters team to come in.
One thing I will say is it had some weird storyline, which was a love relationship between one of the kids and a ghost. Now, that is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why that needed to be thrown in there. It could have been anything else. They could have just been friends. They could have just been anything else. But no, of course they had to be in love. So that side of things I felt was a little bit strange. Another part of the movie that was a bit odd for a kid's film is how much sexual innuendo they had in the movie. Now, typical Hollywood, that's what they go for. But I guess maybe now that we're older and we can understand the sexual innuendo, maybe that's the only reason why we pick up on it. I'm sure, I know for a fact, when you watch Shrek 1 from back in the day, there's a lot of innuendo in that as well, especially with Lord Farquaad stuff. So maybe just because we're older now, we sort of notice it and realize it. But I felt that was a little bit weird. There's even a sex dungeon scene. Why does that need to be in a kid's movie? Bit odd.
And then the teenagers on top of that are making jokes about the sex dungeon like they know what's going on. They're teenagers. Why would they know what a red room is?
They're supposed to be they're supposed to be teenagers in this.
They play teenagers in this, so how the fuck do they know what a red room is? It didn't make any sense.
And Kumail essentially becomes Aang the Last Airbender, so that was sort of left of field and a bit odd, but it sort of worked, I guess, especially with his comedic timing. I guess it sort of worked.
It kind of did work, but there's one particular scene that I want to mention that doesn't make any sense to me. It's almost like an error throughout this film, is how the hell did they know where Kumail lived? He only gave them an artifact, and then somehow they track him down to his apartment, and this guy lives in New York. What's the population of New York? 50 million? I don't even know how much. There's so many people there, and they track down this one dude who gave them a old artifact that it's almost intraceable, that artifact. That's how old it is.
And to preface, he came into Dan Aykroyd's shop and sold him a artifact and paid in cash and then just left straight away. No name, no nothing.
They didn't get any ID. There's no digital footprint. He gave him $100 and then walked out the shop and went right home. That's all he did. Unless he has the COD Tracker Pro on where he can see the footprints and infrared. Just other than that, it doesn't make any sense. But that was the only continuity error I picked out in this film. Everything else was pretty good. I mean, it definitely flowed well. The character development, it wasn't much, but it was enough for you to keep entertained and enjoy the film for what it was. And then it gives you a new take on the Marshmallow Man. You see about 3,000 different Marshmallow Men, and they're cute, they're funny, and for a kid's film, it definitely works.
Yeah, they've definitely gone down that road with the Michelin Man marshmallows of very much like the cute little guys in the Star Wars franchise. Like all these kids movies and sort of franchises now have to have that little cute alien animal creature to sort of draw the kids or draw the people into the screen and go, oh, how cute's that in the background? And in this Ghostbusters, it had the little marshmallow Michelin Man. And to be fair, I wish I had my own little army of little Michelin Men. Those guys, they look absolutely freaking cute. And one thing I thought that was really well done was throughout the film, I was waiting for the iconic Ghostbusters theme song to come in. Everyone knows it. Whether you've seen the movies or you haven't, everyone knows that iconic Ghostbusters theme song.
If there's something strange in the neighborhood, who you gonna call?
What the movie did well was you don't actually hear this song until right at the very end and essentially the last scene of the movie. But what that did was when it did come on, it sort of gave you this huge rush of just childhood emotion, I guess, if you grew up on these films. And it also just made you realize how iconic that theme song is. And they didn't overuse it. Like I felt that the Barbie, I'm a Barbie Girl song could have been in the Barbie movie. But the fact that that wasn't in there, it sort of took something away from it. And the way that they were able to put this Ghostbusters theme right at the end, just to sort of solidify that this is part of the Ghostbusters world, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really good, rather than overusing it on every single scene that they possibly could have.
That's a definitely smart marketing tactic at 100% because it allows the new Ghostbusters to pave their own way throughout this film and actually get to enjoy their characters for who they're trying to be. And then you have obviously the old nostalgic ones who we all know is that iconic theme song comes on and you think instantly of Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Harold Ramis. And it was awesome that they just waited to the last minute to put that in. It was smart.
Yeah, and the movie wasn't overblown with the originals to try and, I guess, make everyone come and watch it for the originals. It had enough of them in there, like we said, to give you that rush of nostalgia, but then it also let the Spenglers pave their way.
So we're going to wrap this review up with a rating, and I'm going to rate it probably a 60%. It did its job. It's a very good movie to watch if you just want a popcorn film and just something on Sunday night to sit back and relax. And if you've watched Afterlife with Ricky Gervais, if you've watched Afterlife, you definitely want to watch this just to finish off that soft reboot of what this film's trying to attain to. And the highlight for me throughout this film was just the comedy from Kumail and Bill. They although they were in it for 5 minutes total, the amount of words that they said in there were probably 2 minutes long. They just made it for me. That was the funniest thing I took out of this. Yeah, so it's going to be 60%.
My rating for this film will be around about a 60-65% as well. These films are sort of hard to rate because they're just a family-friendly, loving film. Like, it's just a typical movie you'd put on for your kids or even for yourself on a Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon when you need to keep them busy or put away a couple of hours, and it really is perfect for that. It has enough nostalgia for everyone. Paul Rudd was great in this movie, and I'll give any movie that has Paul Rudd a chance. He's earned my respect of his comedic timing, so anything that he's in, I'll give it a chance. As a fan of Ghostbusters and growing up living off Ghostbusters, I thought there was enough ghosts and callbacks to the originals in this to keep me really interested, and I enjoyed the film, and I think if you give it a chance as a Ghostbusters fan, you will enjoy this film too.
Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the review. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
What is your favourite Bill Murray movie? I'm going to have to say mine would be Groundhog Day.
I can definitely say a specific scene in the movie. Old Zombieland. You sharp Bill Murray. Anyway, guys, peace. We out.
Peace.
And cut.